Today I got to hang out with Randy Slack and get to know him a little bit and record a cool conversation. Randy is a self-taught full-time artist, painter. He's a surfer, he's a VW fanatic, he's a grandfather, he's the co-founder of 3-Car Pileup, the co-owner of Legend City Studios, and he's the curator of this annual event called Chaos Theory. And that event is actually happening this Friday. And it's going to be from 6 p.m. until midnight, and then it's going to continue on as well on Saturday from 2 to 6 p.m. And it combines 72 different local artists. There's live music, and it's free. And it's at Legend City, which is at 521 West Van Buren, downtown Phoenix. And Randy is just a really cool guy. He has art that's all over the Valley. I've always seen it for the last 20 years living here in the Valley. I've seen his work at places like Lux Central, which is a great coffee shop, and his art is all over the place in the Valley. He's a very kind human being. He's very down to earth, and I've always loved how he enjoys to travel, and he's seen lots of the world, and it looks like he just knows how to enjoy life and find balance. And I hope you enjoy this conversation, and I hope you can make the event this Friday the 4th from 6 p.m. until midnight at Chaos Theory, which will be down at Legend City. It should be a really fun event, and enjoy the episode, and don't forget to rate the show on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. That helps people to find the show. Enjoy.
What we call reality is in fact nothing more than a culturally sanctioned and linguistically reinforced hallucination of some sort.
This is like a great first date.
Yeah, it's a first date.
It really is.
Randy, what's up, brother?
Hey, dude, how you doing?
Good.
Shaka.
Thanks for having me in your studio.
Yeah,
This is
man.
freaking cool.
It's awesome having you.
Yeah,
It's cool. This
we
is
were
fun.
talking beforehand, and you showed me all your fun toys, your
Toys.
VW buses,
Yeah.
and it's cool. So I appreciate you having me, and it'll be good to get to know you and share
Absolutely.
some of your story with others.
Yeah, definitely, dude. After not knowing you from the first story we have to tell, though, right, is I was trying to pull the trailer in the studio, and it's a busy street. You got to give it to me.
Yeah.
First time, vintage trailer, and you guys in the fire truck had to stop the street.
We blocked it for you.
You blocked the whole street. It was epic.
That was when I met you. I was
That
like,
was
this
so
guy's
awesome.
cool. We peeked in your studio.
That was great.
But I noticed I've seen your art around the Valley at Lux on Central quite a bit because I go there a lot, like once a week.
Place.
Good people. And I then saw that you're having a little event this Friday.
Yeah.
Your 24th year.
Chaos Theory 24. How nuts is that?
Yeah, Chaos Theory 24.
24,
yeah, so
man.
amazing.
Yeah, finally COVID hooked us up, dude, because we started it and it was always off. So the year didn't match the number and it drove me crazy. We had to skip for COVID. So finally caught up. So now you just think of the year.
So what is it? Like, how did that begin? And like, first of all, let's start with this week's. What's it going to look like for people? And then help me to understand, like, if I came to this event, what's here?
Okay, well, I mean, it's easier to talk about. I don't know what's easier to talk about, but I don't even know what it's going to be. That's the fun part.
Awesome.
Because basically Chaos Theory is I invite a bunch of artists that I'm into, that I dig what they're doing, photography, painting, sculpture, all kinds of stuff, different mediums, fashion. Some musicians will show up. And I'm just like, hey, bring one piece.
Nice.
And they'll bring it on Wednesday. It'll be the first time I get to see it. And then Thursday we'll hang the whole show. And then Friday will be the big party. And it's kind of like a big downtown art prom.
And it's open to the public. There's no
free,
tickets.
All free, open to the public. It's basically a 7,000 square foot warehouse. It's just full of fun.
It's amazing.
It's art for art's sake. Yeah, it's a really fun, it's a really fun time.
And I think there's 72 artists. Is that what I saw?
70 something.
Yeah.
70, a lot.
Yeah.
Almost too
amazing,
many.
Dude.
Every year I'm like, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit. We're in trouble. It's not going to fit.
Cool.
But we always seem to make it happen.
And so when you began this project, the Chaos Theory, what was the first one? Like, how did that come
God,
to
yeah. Well, it's funny because we were First Fridays was just starting to boom. There were only like 5 spaces back then. I think, what were we talking? Monorchid.
Yep.
Holga's, the House Studios, which were all kind of rivals of ours. So everybody's trying to outdo everybody back in the day. And we decided, if First Friday started to blow up, people started to come downtown. And so we were getting bummed because we couldn't go see all this other stuff. So we decided, hey, man, why don't we invite some of these other our contemporaries to show in our place. And at the time, October was the kickoff to the season. It didn't go full year back then.
Okay.
So that's why it's been the first Friday of October for 24 years.
It's amazing.
So yeah, it's pretty killer. So the first one had like 14, 17 artists, and it went off. It went Richter. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was huge. It was packed.
And those first Fridays were small, right?
Yeah, they're pretty small.
Yeah.
But we had a really good spot next to Seamus McCaffrey's on Central Monroe. And it was pretty nuts packed. Kathleen Venetian from the New Times came and wrote this scathing review of it, how bad it was. And
really?
And it was awesome. It like put us into folklore, man, because everybody was pissed.
Yeah, and they were all there.
So everybody was outraged and like, how dare you? And she like hooked us up. I love her for that because now everybody remembers it.
Cool.
Because if she would have came in and said it was all flowery and nice,
yeah,
no good. But yeah, that was like from the get-go, it was a huge success. And like when success, I mean, we don't do it for money. We don't, if an artist sells, they take 100% of the money. We funded it for years, and then we finally couldn't fund it anymore because we bought this new building and we ask a $25 donation from each artist. So it's really a collective of all of us putting it together. And the cool thing was that the community clearly wanted it and needed it, and they were thriving for it. So
yeah,
it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I think we moved it through 4 spaces, and now finally to this space, which is pretty bomber, 12-foot ceilings, and
dude, this is
1920s red brick building. Thank you.
So
sorry
cool.
to talk over you.
No, I love it. It's amazing. Tell me more. It's 1920s.
Well, it's 1920s. Basically a warehouse, been a body shop forever till us. And so we kind of made it into this. Basically, it's our studio, 3 photographers, Jason Grubb, John Belinky, Brandon Sullivan, and myself. So we got super lucky and bought it. The irony is, dude, we were talking about this earlier, the little old German lady, which I like to refer to her, who had us over to her house over Pepsi's to talk about the deal. I mean, it was literally that sweetheart of a deal. We're talking 2003, back when it was scary down here.
Right.
But the son was super, they're German, they're super into VWs. And it was, I think it was even, I looked back in Yellow Pages and it was named something VWs back in the 70s.
Cool.
But anyway, they were thrilled so they've come back and shown family from Germany, like, look what they did with the building.
That's rad.
They're really happy with it. And it was such a gift, such a blessing.
Oh my
but yeah,
God.
basically it's a 7,000 square foot 1920s warehouse that we've turned into like Magic Land. It's so like dream space.
Yeah, this is like an artist's dream space.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here over 20 years, and I still come through here and just gush.
So cool.
Gosh.
Dude. Yeah, and I love your little private part that we're in right here. A little kitchen. And it's a mad scientist world in here. That's why I wish we could do a little virtual where they could tour around.
Yeah,
do the interview live. We'll do that next time.
Yeah, well, that could take,
I need a film guy.
That could take longer, dude. We spent an hour just doing the tour.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's funny.
I'm curious. I don't know anything about your background, but how long have you been an artist?
That's awesome.
And
man.
how did you get into it?
I love that we're here doing this and kind of getting to know each other.
First date.
As we're doing this. This should be called First Date, man. It's great.
Yeah,
I
man.
dig it. Wait, what did you ask? I mean,
how did you get to be an artist? How long have you been an artist?
It's in my blood, dude. I think you're just born to do stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm an Arizona native, been here my whole life. I think I can remember, I mean, always like to draw. Always like to copy cartoons. I got in trouble. My parents always had to get called into school because Randy's drawing on his tests. You know, he's not going to get a job being an artist. He needs to learn algebra. And I kind of took, I'm that guy, Scorpio, took it as a challenge. And then just, had a couple of really good art teachers in high school. Mr. Neal, who was actually Alice Cooper's art teacher as well, which is cool. Mr. Holga, which was massive influence, my photography teacher, because I like to do photography too.
Nice.
But these guys really just kind of propelled me, which I was terrible at school. My brain doesn't work well with school. I was a troublemaker in class. I'm the class clown. But I love to draw because I could focus and calm my brain. But these guys really believed in me, taught me a lot of things that I still do now. And then my parents kind of made me go to Glendale Community College. Go Gauchos. I mean, They didn't make me, but that was part of the deal. You're going to live at home. You're going to go to school, and took a full roster, dropped out of everything, only took life drawing. Actually, I take that back. I think I took a 2D class with a good buddy, Bill Dambrova, who's in the show, we're still buddies now.
That's
so
awesome.
wild. But anyway, fast forward. I'll try to fast track it, dude. The life drawing class I took for like 4 semesters, and another awesome person in my life, pivotal moment. The guy's like, "You're not taking my class again. We all know you can draw. Sorry." And I'm like, "Dude, this is my only class. I have to take it. My parents, I have to be in school." And he's like, "The only way you can be in my class is if you paint." And I go, "I don't know how to paint." And then my buddy's like, "Dude, my mom works at Ben Franklin. I'll hook you up. I'll give you." So he gave me like red, blue, yellow, white, black. And I brought in big pieces of cardboard and just painted, just kind of taught myself how to paint. And it's really weird because I never went to school per se. No one taught me to paint.
Yeah.
And I kind of lean on that real heavy because my style is the same. My palette's the same. I still make the same goofy strokes, which I love because I love the hand. I want you to know a hand's involved in it. I've always liked that about art. And especially now with where we're going in technology, it's kind of cool.
Right.
So I want people to have my presence in the room. See, now I'm going deep, dude, real quick.
Please do.
Fast.
This is fucking great. That's what I wanted.
Sorry,
I'm
dude.
like, who is this guy? I've been following you for years, and this is cool. Exactly what I'm after. And this is what people want.
I like it,
keep
dude.
riffing.
I appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, I mean, that was kind of, and then, again, dude, I like to use the analogy. I mean, this is the way I look at my life. It's like this big carpet that's rolled up, and I just keep kicking it, and then all these things are there for me, and I like gobble them up and then kick it some more. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at this little nugget. Look at this nugget that's been left for me. And a lot of, like I said this to you earlier, a lot of the times I'm like, this has to be a simulation. There's no way this is real life, that my life is so epic. I'm so blessed. But
yeah.
So then I just kept going, dude. And I did odd jobs. I moved to California. I moved back to Arizona. I met this chick, got her pregnant. My dad kicked me out of the house and said, "You're going to get that girl pregnant." And I said, "Too late."
Yeah. How old were you then?
I think 22, something like that. She was 20.
Yeah. Wow.
Young. Yeah, we were dumb, young kids. But anyway, I went and got a real job at Honeywell, and then blah, blah, blah. Then this studio job came up to paint at. And, I took my cardboard drawings in and what paintings, and they're like, "Yeah, cool. We'll call you. We don't really have anything." And then I went to Honeywell, and, I'm having a baby, whatever. Damn. And actually, I should back up, dude, really quick, because this is part of it. I was working at UPS. I had a lot of good buddies that worked at UPS, and I was working the night shift. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I worked pick off. It was sweating and physical, and it was so fun. I loved it. But it got to be the point where, okay, dude, you're going to go driving soon. This is going to be your life. You're going to have stock options, healthcare, and you're not going to be able to quit this job because this is going to be too legit because you're barely educated, right?
Yeah.
Barely got through high school. So I'm like, sold everything, sold my Jeep, got rid of everything, quit the job, moved to the beach.
Wow.
Moved in with a couple of my buddies and slept on a couch and Loma Santa Fe and surfed and didn't get a job, and then came back in 3 months.
Like terrified of the Matrix, really.
Yeah, dude. I was so afraid to become that real person because I'm like, I'm never going to be an artist if I do that.
Yeah.
So it was all kind of there, but it wasn't a plan, if that makes sense, if I'm kind of making sense now. But
no, that's perfect because it's like all these weird synchronicities too. Yeah. Like if that art teacher was like never gave you the opportunity to paint, you would have probably just kept drawing.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's weird. Like, how, I don't know if everybody has these, but I feel like a lot of people do, especially if they search for it. But there's these literal pivotal moments where it was like, oh, I went this way.
Yeah.
Like to go back further in high school, like I played baseball my whole life. That was like my thing. I was a catcher. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Went to try out for the baseball team in high school freshman year. And the coach was like, I had long hair, of course, total hippie. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no way, get out of here, Goldilocks. And I'm like, went to the dean and I said, show me in the book that you have to have a crew cut to play baseball, which is so ironic now that everybody has long hair.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so the dean made Skippy, you got to let him try out. And so I was F, dude. There's no way I don't know because I went to Apollo and it was a really good baseball school. I mean, there's a couple Dodgers that came out of that school. It's like, maybe I wasn't, but it doesn't matter because the point was I didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I literally went this way, drugs and alcohol, art. The next year, cut my hair, ironically.
Yeah.
Funny.
Did you get pretty heavy into the drugs and alcohol?
Oh, yeah,
because
dude.
Today's your 20-year sober.
20-year sobriety,
which is pretty cool. High five on that.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
I seriously appreciate it.
That's amazing.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an easy path.
No, dude, it hit me hard today. Because these birthdays come and they're always a big deal.
Yeah.
But they don't resonate as hard as today did.
How did you get sober? Like, what would you say to someone? Like, how did that work?
Oh, dude, it's the hardest
probably
thing I've ever done.
In and out.
Never, no, I didn't have any of that.
Wow.
Because luckily, well, no, I'm lying. I did. I mean, I had a year of where I quit. I quit like physically, but mentally I was still like in it and would go back out in and out. But I wasn't trying to be sober.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll only drink on Wednesdays. I'll only drink on Sunday. I'll only drink, but I'd crafted this whole, because now we're bouncing all over the place. Sure. But I created this whole life around, I was blessed to be an artist and I was painting and everybody's making money and I had babies and I had a new house and I had a new car and everybody was stoked and everybody's getting paid and the money was coming in. So it was like, I thought, I was really of the opinion that, dude, I'm going to rock star it out, do drugs and alcohol and die at 27.
Wow.
And that was like my thing.
Yeah.
And then I hit 27 and didn't do anything very cool. And I was like, oh man, I can't die. I don't have anything cool enough to die for. I'm no one. I've done nothing.
Who gave you that model? Like the Doors?
Well, dude, I mean,
you saw the rock stars.
I loved freaking Jim Morrison.
Okay.
I'm a Kurt Cobain fan. Yeah. It's like all my idols.
So you're like, let's hit the gas pedal and be like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And and Jean-Michel Basquiat, one of my favorite artists of all time. And I'm like, that guy, I want to be that guy. I want to be that strung out dude being brilliant. It's just like, but it wasn't me. So it kind of finally, I mean, through a bunch of, it got ugly and gnarly, but I crafted this whole world around it, dude. So I was using and drinking every day, all day, every day. And just because it's how I thought I've created art. I was actually scared to be sober and create. But
which is common, right? For a lot of artists, they think if they get sober, they're going to lose that creativity. I've heard that through comedy.
It's very common, and I think it goes through all artistic things, right? Like, writing, music, painting, all kinds of things.
So, who tipped you into the sober world?
Well, ironically, it's like I grew up with it because my my mom's side's German, my dad's side's Austrian. So, of course, we're just all a bunch of alcoholics, and my grandparents were alcoholics, and they both died sober. God bless them. And, I grew up with it's okay not to drink on my fridge as I would grab one of my dad's beers. You know what I mean? It was just in me. So my mom took me to an AA meeting, and I remember looking at her going, God, why do I know all this shit? How do I know all this? It's like innate. It's in me. It was weird, but it didn't stick. I was just like, yeah, fuck that. And went out drinking for another year. And then the blessing was, I think I mentally stopped drinking, but I physically was still going through it. And I had two girls at the time. And it was like the whole, mom, dad's naked, passed out in our bathroom again kind of thing. Dad peed in the closet, like horrible, dude.
Yeah.
Horrible. But
it's amazing.
But I remember my last day like it was freaking yesterday, crystal clear. But I had a full day of partying at the bar as soon as it opened. When I woke up at like 9:30, having margaritas, and went on to studio visits and wine and this and that. And at like 9:30, with a Heineken in my hand, flying in my convertible Beetle, I saw the sirens, and I was like, oh, thank God, dude. There's the line in the sand. I can finally stop this bullshit.
Oh, wow.
Like that, I needed something.
Yeah.
I needed something to push me over the edge. And the weird thing, man, is to bring up that Bill D'Ambrova brother of mine. He has a studio on Grand down the street. And 3 months prior, we were partying, and I drove from the Bikini Lounge to my studio, which was about 3 blocks. I peeled out right in front of a cop. This is a true story. Cop pulls over, comes up to the window, and I look over at him and I go, hey, and he goes, what the fuck? And my buddy goes, we are going, his studio's right there. We're not going anywhere. He goes, roll it up, put the top up, park it, do not come back to it. And I'm convinced that, again, the universe, man, that I'm whatever, like that carpet. If I would have went to jail that day, I wouldn't have got sober. Right. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my time.
And
it was the weirdest thing ever.
It might have buried you even further.
Yeah,
right? More
absolutely.
Drinking. Damn.
Which happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But so anyway, 6 months later or whatever, I was ready, and I was so grateful, dude. And
So that was a cop pulled you over, you got a DUI this time?
I got an extreme DUI. I was like, I don't even know. I blew something heavy, and
Yeah.
my photo is so great because I'm like smiling. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm done.
Wow.
And dude, literally, that was it. That was
That's
my last.
incredible.
And it was as hard as I went with drugs and alcohol, dude. Is as hard as I took my sobriety.
And was it a lot of withdrawals or any of that? Like
no,
because
my grandfather had that.
Uh-huh.
Like he had a bottle of vodka in every room because he
Yeah.
couldn't make it to the bathroom, to the kitchen physically. But my grandma was like kind of like me, I think, or just she liked to party. I mean, I just like to escape reality, dude. And I don't like to escape a little bit. I like to escape a lot.
Yeah.
So when I go, I like to go.
Yeah.
I want to be gone. So
and now you do that with your art.
now I do that with everything.
Or
like
with
you
your
saw
mechanic.
my cars,
Yeah.
you saw
You
everything,
geek out.
dude. Yeah.
I fucking love that.
So it's crazy.
My favorite people have the addictive personality, and thank God most of them, some of them don't, and they've ruined their lives, and it's sad. Addictions can be so sad, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have family and stuff,
Yeah.
but I love how they can transform it and transmute it into something cool and just be that obsessive with something that is productive or creative.
Absolutely,
so
dude.
I
well,
love
it's
that.
you just got to channel it into the right thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have, and that's the problem. I grew up with not having the right channels. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody, but I was just like I was all over the place.
And those art teachers, man, like imagine if you didn't have those people in your corner to like help mentor you or at least steer
Unreal.
you.
Yeah.
It just sort of reemphasizes the importance of that young mentorship for people.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you have a big impact on the young kids coming up, I'm sure.
I hope so. That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
Or maybe just once in a while. I was thinking while you were saying that would be cool for you to maybe sometimes go let those kids do like a field trip here.
Yeah. Oh no, I've done that.
Oh,
dude.
cool. I'm like, that would be rad.
Yeah. I miss it. We used to have the high school kids come in it's funny because it's just like I'm a big component of AA, and that's what helped me get sober. And it's a big, like I went to the meeting today and I'm listening to a guy with 6 months, and it's just like tripping me out because I'm like, oh my God, I remember getting my 24-hour chip like it was yesterday. I'm just crying like a baby. And I'm like, here I am again, 20 years, dude, 20 years deep.
Yeah.
And they're like giving out coins. And I'm like, you got a 20 in there? And everybody's eyes are just like, what the fuck? That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And here I am going, dude, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I was just at a wedding freaking Friday freaking out because everybody was drinking. And then I went to a reggae fest on Saturday, and I was like, I was fine. It's such I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's just such a difficult.
You to show up to that meeting tonight. That's so cool because you're helping to give them a little hope.
Then that's that. And that's where I was going with this. Thank you for getting me on track, dude. But the high schoolers taught me so much because it was at a time where they came in and I do a little slideshow, and this is what I do, and this is what I do, and I'm like, oh, I don't really like this, but this is what I do. And then one kid was like, Mr. Slack, like we would all be more like beyond the world to have to do that. Are you kidding me? And I was like, wow, dude, what an impressive, he totally flipped the script on me, and it taught me something. And I was like, wow, here I am up here embarrassed about what I'm showing these kids. And this kid's just in awe of like, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So
it's like a reminder of,
it is a total reminder.
We all take life for granted.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even me walking in, it's like, this is a trip to me, but this is your world.
Yeah. No.
And then we all become complacent, which is the human condition, which makes us always stretch.
Yeah.
So it's good, but it's also but we have to take account. It sounds like that carpet analogy. I love it because it's fucking a good analogy because what you're doing is you're taking account for you're collecting what's going right. And that to me is appreciation and gratitude, which is like the foundation for not suffering.
Yeah.
And it seems like you have a good, like lucky gratitude vibe.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the alleviation of suffering, which creates alcoholism or addiction or whatever. So that's at least a thread I keep seeing.
Well, not only the good, dude, but you got to collect the bad too. And it's all in how you look at it. Like, not to quote Grandpa Chuck. But here I go.
Yeah.
He would wake up in the morning and look, Randy, I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I can either say it's going to be a shit day or it's going to be a great day. I choose to make it a great day. And I probably butchered his line, but made it mine. But yeah, that was what Grandpa Chuck used to tell me. And it's, God dang it, he was freaking right, man.
Yeah.
It's all in how you look. Just like that DUI story, man. It was like, it literally saved my life. Yeah. But I mean, and it's way heavier than that, dude. There's a lot, like addiction's hard, and it's I was just telling someone this today because someone called me today, and I won't say his name, but he's burying his brother this week. See, I'm getting emotional, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
For the same reasons, and he was proud of me because he's burying his brother because he couldn't handle the opioids and the alcohol, and he kept going, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh shit, dude, I'm 20 years sober. That's why this is so heavy, because if I wasn't on this train, I'm freaking dead.
Yeah.
I'm not making it. I'm definitely not living this life that I'm living.
Yeah.
And so to back up, it was like I was talking to my sponsor and I couldn't get it. It wouldn't click for me. And I think a lot of people, it doesn't click. But what finally clicked for me, and my girls are my whole world. My wife and my daughters are everything to me. And when it finally clicked for me, it was this train analogy of like, look, I'm getting on this fucking train. And this is the sober train. And if you girls aren't coming, I don't give a fuck, because this is what's most important. And it's leaving the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Later, and it finally clicked to put my girls aside and put me and my sobriety first was, dude, heavy. It's so hard to grasp.
Yeah.
It's a really hard thing to grasp, but that was literally the only way I could like cross that mountain range, you know?
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Anyway, sorry to get so heavy.
No, dude, please don't be sorry.
This is supposed to be fun, man.
Honestly,
I'm not going to get another date, am I?
My friends and my people in my life, that's all we do is go deep, and that's the way it's going to be. We don't do the superficial
That's good,
stuff.
man. That's what we should talk about.
Yeah, and heart.
This is what life's all
conversations. It's like, dude, if you're not feeling, you ain't alive. And
I agree.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because I feel too deeply a lot of times, and I'm like, I feel sorry for people who don't.
Yeah, because you are feeling the full spectrum of being alive, and it's because you care.
Yeah.
That's what one of my mentors taught me when I called her, because she's a therapist, but I remember calling her after I seen some crazy shit, right, as a fireman. And this poor 8-year-old girl burned almost to death and lost her mom. Crazy call, and it broke my heart. So I was off for a couple shifts, and I called her because she's like an amazing therapist, but she's also a dear friend. And she just said those simple words, and it was so potent, man. And I was able to weep and grieve and feel the pain and go, yeah, it's because I care.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to
like
be heartbroken.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But it's also like you don't want to numb it out and compartmentalize it and shut it down. And
that's
be
the
hard,
problem.
which you have to do through a daily experience. It's a superpower to be able to do that, to function. We don't want to be overwhelmed and not be able to be of service or to create or to do life.
Yeah.
But you better give yourself time and space to grieve.
Well, and you have to feel it.
You have to.
I just had to learn that 5 years ago, that you have to feel it. Like not that I have the world figured out, because I don't, still learning every day, as that meeting taught me today. But you gotta feel it, man. You gotta just accept feeling it. And for so long, I was self-medicating without realizing it.
Yeah.
And I was numbing myself, and I thought, oh no, I'm escaping the world. I'm expanding my mind. I'm doing hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
I'm getting to this. And by all means, dude, I hit it so hard that's another reason I think it's easy to stop, because I'm like, I did it, man. It's been done. I feel like everybody gets a stash, right? Here's your stash, bro.
You blew yours in the week.
You can either throw it out, share it, do it. I just fucking blah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, I don't need to do it. I did mine.
Do you think there was any unlocking of, like, you did psychedelics, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So was that a huge component of maybe helping you at some point? Do you think any of it benefited you in a way?
I mean, I don't want to...
Not to advise people, but was that a component to your art is insane. Like the Grand Canyon, I was talking about it, where you zoom in and it looks like just blobs, and you pull back and it's this insane piece.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I love it.
Was that because of LSD or
I'm
what?
so happy that it's working.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think you are who you've become, right? Through all your
experience.
And I don't want to project that you should go do acid, kids. And definitely don't do a bag of shrooms. I mean, I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm also not saying to steal cars and get drunk and anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, the short answer is yes, but the long answer is it wasn't planned or thought about, or I never thought I could be sitting in this chair talking to you about what my life's all about. You know what I mean? It's like, no way but yeah, of course, my brain's, I mean, I'm happy that I went through all the experiences I went through to get here. You know what I mean? Like trauma survivors are like that too, right? Like if you look at it the right way and if you're doing it the right way, it's kind of goes in line with when you forgive someone, it's for you, not them. Yep. It's that kind of thing. It's like I'm
self-compassion.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think. But it's funny because to kind of tie all this in, when I got sober, I was so paranoid that I was not going to be able to paint, and I'm not going to be crazy Randy anymore. And one of my first paintings I did was for the ASU Art Museum. I got into the show, and I think it was rad because John Spiak, one of the curators at the time, was like, dude, there's no way, because I'd known him a while. Still know him. He just texted me today. Awesome guy. There's no way you would be in this if you're still drinking. Like, not even a chance.
Yeah.
So that was one.
Cool.
Two, it led me into this whole artistic, like, I don't know. I kind of went off on him, like, this is what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I did this painting in my grandma's living room, my grandparents' living room. It was the room that I was telling you earlier that you weren't allowed to be in. We only were allowed in there Christmas Eve. It's the green shag carpet and the orange crazy lamps, and it was called Light Without Giving Off Light. And it was just an empty room. Like everything was lit, but it was dark.
Yeah.
So they weren't really working, but they were lit.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I painted it and I installed it, and I had Dean Martin Christmas music coming out of a console, and I filled it full of mothballs so it smelled like grandma's house, and I had her lamps.
Nice.
It was epic.
Yeah.
And it worked out really good. But I remember seeing that going, oh my God, I can really paint. Like, I'm better.
Wow.
When I can see it. Because I used to come into the studio and just, get whacked out of my mind.
Yeah.
Thinking I'm brilliant. Come in the next day and I'm like, oh, that's what I did.
Yeah.
But now I'm like actually achieving something.
Wow.
So again, to fast forward, I think to where I'm at now with my work is that now the sobriety and the everything that I've learned and all these things are coming together, and I'm going backwards into, because like you're saying, I basically do this therapeutic, my pieces take like a month to do. I've kind of created this monster of a style, but it's therapeutic, man. And it's just zen. And I use #1 brushes, and I'm just painting strokes, and I'm painting bubbles, and, I'm just painting by number basically is what I've created. Because what I did is I needed a background I painted my VW bus Myrtle out of on wood in life size. Cool. And I cut the windows out and I painted it so you could be inside of it and get your picture taken like in my art.
Yeah.
But then I wanted to put it at the Grand Canyon. So I just created this like paint by number style just as a thing to put behind it.
Sure.
Just as a filler.
Yeah.
And it sold.
It's amazing.
So then I'm like, I had a show at the Yuma Art Museum, and I'm like, I took the bus, and so I put it in front of arches. Sold the arches.
Oh, cool.
And so then I did another one at the Grand Canyon, sold it. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was like, oh man, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
This is kind of happening.
Yeah. And
anyway,
you enjoy it.
Yeah. And I love doing it. And it's like the funny thing though is the early ones were super loose, super just like, oh, these are almost like stage sets, just like quick, gestural. They make sense from far away, but they're really just abstracts. Because I think I'm an abstract painter at heart, but I paint shapes that look like things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so interesting.
Where I'm going, man, is I've not perfected it, but for myself, I've gotten better and better. It's all perspective though, because in my brain, I'm getting worse and worse. Like, as in, like, what have I created? I'm like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. Because the bubbles are getting smaller, everything's getting tighter, everything's getting crazier. Because then I fill in all the bubbles, and then layers come, and then it's a mess.
Do you time lapse any of it?
No, I never do. Everybody says that, and it's like such a boring ride that
really
I think it's so. Well, because I literally sit there and I'll literally paint blue all day, dude. I'm like, all right, it's powder blue day.
If you sped it up exponentially, though, and you did the 1 month in a 2-minute video, you would just see this. It would be cool. And it would be rad.
Yeah, I think it would be. It would need to be multiple angles, and again, dude, you've seen my studio, you've talked to me enough that if I start filming, I'm in trouble, because I'm gonna have 3 GoPros. I'm gonna be wearing one. I'm gonna be talking. I'm gonna be, you know what I mean?
Out.
It's
another dimension.
It's gonna be a whole thing, and I gotta focus on the art.
So when you said it takes that long, what, a month for one?
Yeah, I'd say it
so.
Takes like
but
a
I mean,
month.
like, what's the daily like to get to the month? Is it an 8-hour day? Is it a 3-hour day?
It depends, dude, because my days are not like normal days, right? Again, thank you.
Yeah.
Lord, thank you, carpet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. My wife is like, we're going to Florida Friday. And I'm like, okay. And I just get on a plane.
When you guys are traveling, which you were talking about, you're never anywhere more than 5 days.
Yeah, we're kind of like, I mean, unless we're like in Germany for 2 weeks, or like we're in, not to like throw that out like a flex, but you know what I mean? Or like we'll go see our grandkids in Florida for more than 5. But we're like rarely.
And does she have any side hustles or gigs, or what is she?
She's a nurse. She works in heart surgery.
So how does she get all the time off?
She's like a badass, because she'll work like she should work 3/12s, I think, at her new gig, but she always works 4 or 5 days, takes everybody's call, works her brains out.
Yeah.
And then whenever she needs time, they're just like, yeah, go.
Cool. Because you guys do a lot of cool trips.
We do a lot, man.
Yeah.
We do a lot. Like
I've seen that from afar. I'm like, you guys live a really cool life.
I appreciate that, man.
You know, and I've just seen you all over the place.
Yeah. And I don't know.
That's amazing.
I don't know what it is. We got
wonder junkies.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, it's funny because I stopped one time, and my Instagram I love because it's like, it's really my scrapbook.
Yeah.
And so I can go back and go, oh, wait, where were we October 13th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we were in Sedona. That was rad. I remember that place. But I started to look at it one day and I'm like, oh my God, we've been charging hard for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And now we're like, I mean, it's just going and going and going. It's, if anything, it's getting worse.
We're better.
Because it's, you know what
you're addicted to it.
My oldest moved to Okinawa.
Okay.
And that wasn't on my bingo card, dude. Didn't even know anything about it. And it blew our minds. We fell in love with it.
Cool.
It's like Japan's Hawaii.
Yeah.
The food's amazing. The culture's awesome. The scuba diving's crazy.
Cool.
It's so good. But my point was that we went there like 3 times when our first grandson was born. And it was like, oh, we could do this. You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
The planet got really small for us.
Yeah.
And so we were like, it's
possible. Did you travel with your kids a lot then?
Never.
So once
No. I mean, we did growing up. You mean,
yeah,
because they both played club soccer.
Cool.
And so we always traveled.
But now you guys just travel alone.
Yeah, they're kind of mad at us most times. Well, because we got our VW camper really late, and we camp in that thing like religiously, and like the trailer. I keep pointing like people can see.
Yeah, I wish they could, man.
But like the caravan, we take that out as much as we can. But it's like we're camping all the time.
Yeah,
we're always doing something. And we have another whole the VW family, man. Is talk about these people that are just heaven sent. It's such an epic community from all over. It's just like surfing. I love it because like when you're out in the water, everybody's equal. Yeah, I mean some guys are better, some girls are not. You know, whatever. But you're all equal people. Yeah. Like, that dude's a lawyer, that guy's a writer, that guy, no, but none of that matters. Yeah. And same with the VW thing, man. It's like everybody,
that's rad.
It's all we're just one love for these stupid German cars. And
that's amazing.
We just love vintage stuff. It's so neat.
And you've been married to her for how long?
20. We always do this.
20 something.
Our daughter's 28. And then I think we've been married 26, 27.
Nice.
Not good at math.
And she's been with you through thick and thin. Yeah, you guys have really been through a lot.
Been through too much, but it's kind of nice
to be. You were kids. It's crazy to survive that and to still be traveling together. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like I came to Phoenix today for Chaos, and I'm like, I'm going to miss you. We're going to be apart for like 2 days, which like I can honestly say for 20 years that I could count the days I was away from her. Yeah. Like fully, like a full 24.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild.
Amazing. Yeah. Not many people have that.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah.
She's another one of my carpet nuggets, dude, that I got really lucky. I like to say she got lucky too, but a lot of people tell me I married
her
up
and your kid, you probably wouldn't have had the motivation to get sober.
No way.
You were doing it for yourself, but you also were at some level, you were, you wanted to take care and be there for your family too.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
Yeah. Cause you don't want to be, I wanted my girls to have a better outlook on life than what I was giving them at the time. I was being pretty selfish. I was trying to be rock star Randy, and it was kind of working, but it like plateaued a little bit. It was like, you're only going here, dude, because you're kind of a waste head. Yeah. And then that wasn't in my mind, but it was like, again, none of this was by design. Yeah. But a lot of times I talk about it like it's easy because it feels like it was like, again, that carpet, dude. I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. Well, and you've kept a damn good attitude too, because like to be an artist, I've heard over the years different forms of art, but in the community, even in Phoenix, there's always drama, right? Yeah. And I don't know how much you play into it or know about it or how hard it was for you to overcome that in your early years versus now, but I don't know. You seem to have a good community. Yeah, you're doing this thing with all these artists. Yeah. But a lot of people don't have that, right? They're isolated and they're competing. Yeah. So I feel like you found a way to keep a community. Well,
I feel lucky, dude. I grew up with a lot, like we were saying back to the early days, like with Wayne and the house, and we grew up. It was like this weird art school community. We're all teaching each other, not teaching each other, but we're all learning together of how to do this thing called art. As Phoenix was like growing up with us. Yeah. and then the city was responding to us, and then we were responding to them, and then it was working, and then so it was pretty amazing time. And so a lot of those people I have as friends still, and dude, I mean, I don't feel bad about it, but I mean, I feel like I lead kind of a charmed life in that sense, where I've had some heavy dramas with this show, and not that I'm going to talk about, but like some heavy dramas that like career ending, like this could go bad, like I'm done, I'm cancel cultured, and then it went the opposite way.
Yeah.
And like soccer dads are calling me going, no man, we support you, we'll be there Friday, and you know what I mean? So it's like there's been
weird attacks,
there's been
and
weird
like
stuff
drama
that goes on, but and I'm so grateful, man. I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky about everything all the time, that it's just grateful mode, man.
Dude, I love that. I mean, I know that I can count on my one hand how many people truly feel that and are in that state.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them, I'll be honest. My best friends know that about me, because I'll say I'm lucky all the time because I feel lucky.
Yeah.
And I always have, and I'm grateful to even feel lucky.
Yeah.
You know, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I can see that in you, and I don't even really know you, but we're getting to know each other today. It's like, that's really cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's probably some things you could probably tell, which you've done in this podcast, but like there's artists that are coming up that are probably feeling defeated or victimized, or like, hey, how did he make it and I'll never make it? Or what do you tell someone that is coming up and they're wanting to do art and they don't want to be in the matrix and work for UPS or work for Honeywell or whatever? Because it's a grind and most people can't get paid for their art. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that for the average human out there that wants to be an artist.
It's so hard, man.
Yeah.
I've been asked this question my whole life because I've been really lucky.
Yeah.
And not to bring my mom into this, and it's just, again, another weird flex, but it was another one of those moments where I remember I was distraught in this weird way, and that I'm having a hard time explaining. But I remember my mom telling me, well, you've like realized all your dreams at a really young age, so you're kind of struggling with now what kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't strike me then. Like I was like, what are you talking about? Like I'm not even close. But now in retrospect, I'm like, wow, she was so right. Like I had everything I've ever dreamed of, and now I have even more things that I didn't even dream about. But I still live, like we were talking earlier, I live such a simple. I mean, I have these crazy cars, but I don't know. It's funny to say I live simple, but I do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to your question, but it's so hard because like my story was literally that simple. I'm like, no gallery would show me. There was no place for me. I didn't fit anywhere. I was painting huge. No one wanted it. It was obnoxious. I didn't have the credentials for anything.
Yeah.
And so I said, fuck it, dude. I'm just going to start my own gallery.
It's amazing.
And so we did.
Yeah.
And so my dad got us did I tell this story already?
No, I'd love to hear
Am I telling the story twice? Oh my God.
No.
My dad's been a elevator mechanic in Phoenix since the 60s. Stud. He's still a stud to this day.
Wow.
But he knew Mark. I feel like I've become my father, which is, God, please, I hope, because he's the biggest stud ever. But he's like Mr. Downtown. Everybody knew my dad.
Cool.
He could go anywhere. He knew the CEOs, and he knew the maids. You know what I mean? And everybody in between. And he had a key to everything, and he could get in everywhere. And he was trusted and a good dude. Anyway, he knew Mark Wilson that owned the Lures building on Jefferson and Central. And I met two dudes, David Dauncey, James Angel. And we were like, hey, I paint, you paint, let's paint. Let's figure it out. Let's be rock stars. And so I told my dad, we need a studio downtown. That's where, I want to feel that energy.
Yeah.
And so he talked to Mark, and he gave us this basement closet. It was 300 square feet, no window, no sink, no nothing. Literally a closet, dude.
Yeah.
And so we would go, and it was full lawyer, 11 stories of lawyers above. So we'd go in the middle of the night and just party our brains out.
Wow.
Paint and just create stuff.
Cool.
And then luckily, Susan Copeland from ArtLink, he also gave them space down the hall. She came by and she's like, what are you guys doing? We're like painting and stuff, whatever. And she's like, you ever show it? And we're like, no. She's like, you should show it.
And how old are you here?
God, this is 98. So what, 20 something?
Cool.
20s?
Yeah.
So she talked to Mark, the owner, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll give you this 2,000 square foot space in the other end of the basement if you paint murals in the basement. Basically, he's giving it to us, dude, making us kind of do bullshit work, but such a cool guy. Anyway, so from the get-go, we started this collective called 3 Car Pileup.
Okay.
And from the first show, it was bonkers, dude. I mean, we gave away free beer, but still, we had like movie premieres and bands and all kinds of, we would paint all kinds of weird art, and we sold out of there. And
wow,
it was obviously, we struck a nerve. And like
your dad
I said,
sort of helped with that too.
Totally. Yeah. Hooked it up. And then
dang, and he was connected to everyone. So it was a big connector.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't don't get me wrong. He like got me the space and set us loose and was like, oh shit, there goes drunken Randy. He's gonna kill
cool
himself.
Dad to do that.
Yeah, really cool.
A lot of freedom.
Yeah, but we were doing it on our own terms, like just trying to connect with the community. And there was obviously, it was happening because First Friday was starting. Anyway, then fast forward, we all quit our jobs and decided to paint full time and got a space at the San Carlos.
Wow.
And we got this rad glass front window. We were like, dude, we have arrived.
Wow. And you're 24 at that
25. So I don't know. It was 2001.
Yeah.
God, I'm not good at math again.
So cool, man.
Yeah. So we were crushing, and we were like, dude, and partying was out of control at this moment. It was like full bloated Randy Elvis at this moment, like just bad. And, but we were crushing, dude. And that's when we started Chaos Theory. And it was just, everything was golden. And then the wheels fell off and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's other studios in between that I could talk about. And then kind of people went their separate ways. And then I met these dudes, bought this building, and then here we are.
Dude.
So it was like so again, back to your original question, bro. It was, I don't know what to tell people because like I said, it's like, I'll tell that story. Like, well, dude, I just got my own. I just got my own building or my own gallery, and I just rented a space and I put art up and people came and I got money for it. And so it was literally as stupid as that. But I like to tell people, dude, do your job, make your money, and do your art on the side. Because we were doing night hustle, dude. We were partying all night long and working all night long and working during the day and do it until you can do it full time.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they can just jump in both feet, and that's where they kind of. And I hate to use the word failure, because what is failure? What's success? I don't even know what that means anymore.
Sure. Yeah, the idea, it's up to you.
Yeah.
The idea of success is truly up to the individual.
Yeah.
It's like you've built this, or the culture gave it to you, and it's all bullshit. But the idea of success is your relationship to your experience. So it's like you get to choose if I was successful.
And it's what you want
out
of it.
Are you at peace? Do you like what you're doing? And I know that dude, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs, he's sort of humbled me too with that whole follow your passion thing. He hits it hard. You've probably heard him. He'll be like, no, just
he's awesome.
You be passionate about what you're doing. Maybe be a good plumber, but then, carry your passion with you. He's like, you don't have to. It's almost like we're being sold that we're supposed to be, doing our art or our passion. And then people feel like their expectations are too high, and then they're always let down and they're in a funk because they didn't quite meet their idea of success.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, and a lot of people I think struggle with. I think I was really lucky I knew exactly what I wanted to do, like out of the chute, right out of the gates, like grade school. Not that I could formalize it and understand it, but I knew I'm going to be an artist. I want to be an artist. I like to draw. I want to be an artist. And where a lot of people don't know, watching my kids grow up and they're just like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where to go, what direction. That's got to be really hard.
Sure.
And so, and I've carried that on throughout now, and it drives my wife crazy because I've hit this weird milestone where I'm just like, you know what, man, I just want to do a painting a month, chill, go surf, make my nut enough to pay for our stuff, and like, that's cool. I'm good. I'm not rich. I'm not poor. I'm not.
Your flow.
Yeah, I got a flow going, man. And I mean, I still go down, and like it's feast or famine, man. I'm either crushing it or I'm in trouble. But I'm just. It's so hard to explain, and I think that's the hardest part about being an artist, because I'll have $3 in my account, and then I'll be like, oh, and then someone will call and say, your art's rad, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm stoked.
Yeah.
But what changed? Did my bank account change?
It's
no,
funny,
nothing changed. But I'm just it's my mindset.
I love that,
and I've kind of propelled that into now. It's kind of dangerous balance, but the ocean, I think, did that to me, dude. It's humbled me so hard so many times that now I'm just this even keeled. I mean, you have to have a little anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Or you got to push a little bit. That's the human nature, but you can't let it bring you down and trip you out.
Yeah.
But you have to trust. And maybe No, I'm not saying that. I don't trust on the universe, and this is such a slippery slope too, dude. It's like the acid shrooms kind of thing. It's like you can't just sit home and trust the universe and eat Debbie cakes and go, okay, dude, someone's gonna give me a check.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to do your thing and grind and trust that, you know what, it's gonna work out.
Sure.
It's all gonna come to me.
Yeah, and that's a balance too of like surrender and discipline.
Yeah.
Because I've heard like Jocko Willink say discipline equals, freedom.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I've seen people that are so disciplined and that they're so worried about everything and so uptight and control, they don't have the ability to let go, and so they're suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the combination of discipline and surrender, which is faith or trust, which you seem to do pretty well. You're in the middle of like, it's like an organized chaos.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a flow in the middle of that, and there's a freedom in that. And to every person, it's different because some of us are more oriented towards more control, and some are more way too free. And that pendulum can get too far out of whack. And for each person, they have to figure out what the hell that middle ground is. But when I even was walking in here, just like your energy is just like, oh, wait, fuck, I forgot to tell you about this and like this. And I could just see that you're like a wizard in there. There's a lot of like what you'd call genius.
I hate to
word, but I don't like to think of it as a pedestal or anything like that. But
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, the artist is a little bit chaotic.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. It has to be.
It has to be.
Which otherwise it would suck. Yeah. It wouldn't be an artist, and you definitely wouldn't get paid for it.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Well, but I could see we walked every part of the field trip today, which is what I think of this as. For me, it's fun. But I'm in your world, and it's like, dude, this is just you, and this is the externalization of you. And it's fun to try to reverse engineer it and hear, like, what is this? How does this come to be?
Yeah, it's wild because I'm hearing you say all this. And thank you, by the way. It's been a fun field trip.
I love it.
Because I'm having fun, too. I love showing. I mean, I feel so lucky when I showed off. It's like, again, it's a mirror. Like, whoa, this is my life.
Yeah.
This is rad. But it's funny because I don't like, not a real schizophrenic, but I feel, I'm a little bit, like we were saying, manic bipolar. I'm a little bit this, a little bit that. I'm a little all over the place where I'll be completely frantic and say, balance is the hardest thing I have to tackle. I don't know how to deal with balance. Yet my whole life is balance.
Yeah.
I'm perfect at it.
Yeah.
But yet my brain tells me I suck at it.
Yeah.
Which makes me keep working at it, which makes me perfect at it.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird balance, right?
Yeah.
That's like tricking me.
Yeah.
It's like my brain is tricking itself.
But it's like
working.
you're painting. It's almost identical. Where up in the middle of it, it's like, looks like chaos. But when you step back, it's this incredible thing.
Yeah. The duality is like the duality in my life and in everything that I do and in the painting. It's cool that you see that in it because that's what I'm trying to convey. So it's sweet because it can be a little bit of everything, right? A lot of people can just be like, oh, it's a pretty painting of the Grand Canyon, and then others can see, like you're saying, which I love. This is the whole point: the total chaos of the abstract little moments that you can hopefully see me.
No one could do. I mean, I just don't understand still how the hell. That's why I want to see a time lapse of it or watch it because it's like. You're so into something, you can't, and that's even as life as a metaphor. Yeah. It's like when you're in something, you need to zoom out. I mean, even I do that aerial view sometimes and go back 200 years to see that, like, oh, wow, we're flying in a plane. This is insane. We're in the future, right?
Yeah.
And it's good for you to have hindsight. But in the middle of it, sometimes if you don't know where you're at, it can be overwhelming or too much or you don't see the beauty in it. And I don't know what it looks like for you when you're up against the painting. Like, have you already envisioned what you're going to paint before you paint it?
I mean, it's a lot. Again, dude, it goes back to a lot of trust and a lot of, you can use the surfing analogies and metaphors, right? It's like when you're surfing, like you don't have time to think of what's this wave look like from the beach, dude. You're just seeing, oh, the wall's right there. Oh, I got to hurry and drop and turn right. And you're just like, and I love that because my brain's firing so fast all the time. So I love about surfing. It just completely, number one, it gets rid of everything. Yeah. It's everything zen out there. And then you can only focus on that one moment. Yeah. There's like 25,000 things happening at once.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the painting, I kind of have an idea like, oh, this is cool. This is going to be a Grand Canyon or whatever I'm painting.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my style, I finally, dude, I searched my whole life. Sorry to interrupt and check this, but good. My whole life was like, who am I? What do I do? I don't know what to paint. And someone told me, paint what you like. So I started painting boobs. And then all the boob paintings sold. And then it was kind of weird. So I'm like, oh, I'm painting boobs. And then people are like, where are the boobs?
Yeah.
And so it's this weird thing.
It was like your identity.
Yeah. And I didn't want to be known for that. And so it was a struggle to kind of find my niche or what I was or like, what do I do? And I paint all kinds of stuff. I'm all over the map. But my favorite compliment is when people go, I saw a painting at this hotel and I knew it was yours, just because and that's such a compliment.
Yeah.
But I guess what was I going back to is the whole, I don't look at it as a whole. There's a lot of trust and faith back to that part, right? Where I'm like, okay, dude, you're painting blue today and we're going to do this whole blue and it's going to take me all fucking day,
really
8 hours, because I've mixed this blue and I hope I mixed enough. And if I have to fucking remix it, well, cool, because then it's another layer that's kind of fucked up and people will think I'm brilliant because I made this a little bit different. You know what I mean? There's all these happy accidents because I'm a happy accident. So it's like, it's really, I mean, I literally am a happy accident, and it like literally is how my whole life is. Like this carpet roll is one big happy accident. Everything is like this
happy accident.
It's such a happy accident. So it's like, that's where the drips come from. It's like, oh, it's a freaking rad happy accident. I'm leaving it. So that's kind of become my trademark. And so no, to kind of answer your question, no, dude, I'm tunneled. I'm this close, especially now I'm getting older. I'm getting blood. People will be like, Randy, and I'm like, what? I'm not looking at this, but I'm just focused in on those abstract shapes.
So cool.
And then, I mean, of course, I'll back up later, but the way I do it, the whole mad scientist about it, like a paint by number, it's, well, maybe this doesn't work in a paint by number. It's not the same, but it doesn't work until everything's done. Everything has to be, all the white has to be gone. Then it tricks your brain and makes sense, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's this kind of weird, and it's funny, it's like because
an illusion almost.
Yeah, it's like an illusion. It's like a magic trick, and I always kind of do that imposter syndrome thing with it. I'm like, oh, I'm terrible. Anybody can do this, and it's so silly. And but then you look at, if you see one of my drawings, you'd be like, oh, no one would be freaking foolish enough to take that endeavor, dude. That's insane. It's an insane project to take on, and that kind of excites me even more. So like I was saying earlier, I make them harder and harder and harder every time.
I freaking love it.
It's gnarly.
It's so much more complicated and interesting than I'm even getting the scaffolding of, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah,
which is good.
It is good.
Because when I see that, it's basically, you're trying to use language to help me to understand just how chaotic and crazy the stuff is going on, but it's way more than that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. That's what I do love about art, man, and creativity. Is like where it's like almost coming through you, right?
Yeah.
Surfing's like that, or flow.
Yeah.
And you've probably heard of Stephen Kotler, how he owns the Flow Genome Project. And he's all about hacking flow.
Yeah.
And he has an acronym called STIR, and it's selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and information richness. And that's the state, and that's all the elements of flow. And it sounds like that's what your life somewhat is. Like you're almost good at living accidentally doing it, but in a way, it's like you're naturally pretty good at letting the flow happen.
Yeah.
And I like to think of flow as a mode of being to aim for, and then if it's in art, but if it's also just in life, and it's weird. It's like
it's everything.
It's everything.
It's like surfing again. To go back to surfing, man, it's like you don't tame a wave, you don't ride a wave. Like you dance with a wave and allow her to let you in. And you kind of, as your phrase, go with the flow. So it's kind of like in everything that's in life. That's kind of a good way to be happy too. Just kind of let it happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a push and pull back to the balance again. It's such a struggle, dude. It's such a hard balancing act that you got to work with. But you can't lean this far this way. You can't lean this. It's like got this weird,
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but it's a fun one.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
And it's what I love most about art. I love being in a museum and seeing a brushstroke, or like you could see the artist's brain. You almost feel like he's in the room with you, and you go look at the card and it says 1815 and you're like, oh, this guy's in the room with me. And that's what I kind of want to lead. So when you're looking up at my work, like it's like, especially in person, people need to see it, because it's like all these little strokes of human, struggle. Yeah, that's what I don't want you to see. But then, of course, when you back up, it makes the scene. But it's all about the abstract intricacies that's where the person's at. That's where my energy's at. I'm hoping. Yeah, and a lot of owners of my work feel like they can feel the zen of it, because it's like a month of just,
that's awesome.
This tedious process of by design.
So cool, man.
It's gnarly.
And AI will not be able to ever have that
I hope not.
I don't think it could. I mean, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
It's its own little weird living, whatever it is. It's like an extended nervous system. But
exactly,
art like yours is always going to exist, because people can see that natural brushstroke, and we know the energy behind it, and the time, and the you just can't recreate that.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Same thing with other elements of art too. But it's cool.
Truth.
Yeah, man. I have one question too that I love to ask people, and you don't have to answer, but
Of course I do.
if you were
now
gonna
with that challenge.
yeah, you got to. I think you will. But yeah, really think about this from the heart, not the head, if you can. And I know that's something you're pretty good at doing. You're pretty good at feeling. But if you were going to die today, what would you want to share with your family or with the world?
Wow.
Like if this was it right here and you were not going to make it out of this studio.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That is a wicked, horrible question.
Well, it's important because it makes you pull deeper.
Yeah, I've heard
what matters, you know?
And I've heard this question before. That's the fun. I mean, I've heard this kind of roundabout theory thing before. That's a tough one, dude. I mean, and see, now you're saying to go from your heart. I mean, just my guttural reaction is just like everything that I just want to leave this place better than when I found it, you know, and hopefully that I gave something to it, even in the simplest of terms, you know, like my biggest. So many people reach out to me and are like in whatever facet, whether it's art, the VWs, the sobriety, the family, the like all this, like, cause I'm pretty open book on my social media, and I get told all the time that they're inspired or they're this or that. They love watching or it's such a huge, cause that's kind of my unwritten goal is to leave that impression on the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least the people that I've interacted with or that I've been blessed with in my life. You know, people are like come into your life for a reason. But I mean, that thing, it's literally as simple as subtle as that. I think it's just that, you know, it's that, oh man, it's that last phone call. It's like impossible. What do you say other than I love you, remember me, you know, hope I did good.
That's beautiful.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and you do inspire people with your energetic expression and the way that you are, you know, and like even
really
showing
that.
up after how tired you were from all your travel. You went to your 20-year Alcoholics Anonymous thing.
Straight to it, dude.
Like
6 hours straight.
You didn't have to do that. You could have just went home and hung out and went to bed. And even doing this tonight with all the shit you got coming up in the next few days. So it really, you can tell you live from that. So
but see, that's why you do it, right? Like I learned this long ago. Again, I was blessed with, not to go back into all this, and it sounds like me, but oh well, we're talking about me, right? Perfect. No, but it's funny that I started doing art, and I'm like, I would run from. I know you didn't ask this, but sorry, you're getting it.
Yeah.
I would run from book reports. Like I'd have to stand in front of the class and give your book report. Nope. Gonna run from that, stand on the playground. I'll ditch school, do whatever I can, and not take that F. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I'm gonna be an artist. An artist gets to do drugs, be drunk, be in a studio all day alone, and he's a genius, and people give him money, and he just sits around. And you know what I mean? That was in my head. That's the Hollywood version of what an artist is. And then very early on, luckily, I've been so blessed, dude. People have been into my stuff or my being for a long time. I don't know why. Again, it's beyond me. It's that carpet. But really early on, I had to speak and I had to be on camera. And like I was saying earlier, like I'm old enough to where they had the big old, all right, channel news, we're live. And I'm like, oh, so it's like I told myself, you have to say yes. People, that kid, like I'm talking about, that so many people would love to have this opportunity. I have to say yes. And then that one time I did that library lecture, and I think it was an hour long, and my daughter came and sat in between my lap behind the podium. No one could see her because I was so scared. And I spoke for like an hour, and it went,
wow.
And I felt like I could fly over the moon. It was the biggest high I've ever had in my life. And it was, so it's like, every time I get out like this, I'm like, absolutely not, no freaking way, not doing it.
Yeah.
Who am I? I'm no one. I have nothing interesting to say. I'm not doing it. This is going to be scary. And then look, this is a blast. I'm loving it, dude. It's just me and you hanging out. It's cool. So it's like,
I
don't even know where I was going with that, but I guess, God, what was my point to that, dude? It was just.
Well, it seems like overcoming fear and saying yes to the thing, that the resistance.
But it's kind of funny that I went into being art so I wouldn't have to talk. I wouldn't have to use math, and I wouldn't have, and all these things. It's like, you're doing all the things you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But they're always blessings, man. They're always epic.
I love it,
So
because
they're sweet.
you do a good job of looking back and really just taking account for all the little things that led you to be here, which is,
Yeah.
I think, a healthy process, man.
Yeah.
That's what, good journaling practice is, or any kind of accountability practice. So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's a good way of being happy with yourself
That's
too,
right.
right? You got to be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
You got to be good to yourself. That's
Yeah.
a thing that I've been learning well, I mean, I guess the last 5 years, but to love yourself, man, is a tough one that
Yeah.
I don't think people really, I didn't have a grasp of it. I thought I did, but not even kinda, you know?
It's
So
amazing.
that's another tough one.
Yeah.
Tough road to hoe, but
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah.
A good one to give
Little
you good
compassion and
balance.
forgiveness and all that. That's good,
Be good to
man. You're a
yourself.
cool man.
Thanks, dude.
It's been
I
really
appreciate
fun.
it.
Do you want to throw anything out there about where people can find you? I'll throw it all in the show notes, of
No,
course,
dude, I
but
mean, whatever. I mean, follow me along, and I mean, yeah,
Instagram, probably the
Instagram's my
easiest.
main, Slack Randy. I mean,
Cool.
Slack Randy Art is my art page on Instagram.
Yep.
SlackRandy.com is when I kind of.
Yep. And then this Friday.
Oh, and Rad TV, dude. If you're into VWs,
Yeah.
you could check out the
Yeah,
Rad
I'll
TV.
throw that in there.
Yeah,
for
Rad
people.
TV's fun. That's another This is another one, dude, that I got involved in with my buddy Doug, 10-foot Doug in San Diego. That we like to film. We have tons of friends and a lot of access to a lot of cool shit. And we're like, we should do this.
Yeah.
And we're like, we got a lot of success real fast.
Cool.
And it was another one of those, dude, if we bought a couple cameras and we really did this, it could really blow up.
Yeah.
And so it's another one of those, it's kind of a bummer thing that it's like, I wish I had 6 of me and 6 lives.
Yeah.
Because we could be YouTubers easy. Like, it's such a fun, I don't want to say easy arrogantly, but
yeah,
I could see the avenue of that being
fun.
A job.
Yeah. And it's a
fun.
niche market.
It's so fun.
That's
it's
really
such a cool thing.
I clicked on it a little bit and watched a few of your videos, so it was really cool.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, it's basically showing the vibe and the scene and the people and the car. I mean, it's just, I'm so lucky. Those people are so great.
Cool.
It's a good time. And people, the cool thing about this, man, is the VWs and the internet and the Instagram. I have friends from all over the world. And we go to these VW shows in Germany like every couple years, and people from all over the world come and we hang out and we're homies. And it's mind blowing. Again, dude, the world is so small.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky to have these people in my life, and
so
people from all over the world tell us they love our videos and watch. And like, we're so blessed because we live on the West Coast. I know I'm getting off track, dude. I'm going long,
Please do.
It's like little things you don't think about, right? Because we grew up on the West Coast. So I'm sharing time, San Diego and Phoenix, and like, I'm always in my convertible, no matter where I'm at. And I got guys watching me in the UK going, dude, my bus has been in storage for months. So we're like watching Rad TV just to get through.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? And we're so lucky.
Yeah.
You forget.
Sunshine.
So again, it's good it's like cool that people are into it, but it's also a good, like,
reminder.
The grateful mode, dude. We're so lucky.
Yeah.
Constantly lucky. I mean, just waking up, you're lucky, right? But
I feel that way.
It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is. It's a practice.
It really is. I had it happen to me today where this big semi truck got in front of me and I was like, motherfucker. And then I'm like, thank you for saving me for whatever the fuck was going to kill me 10 miles down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's literally like, I'm not as fast as I want to be. Like with the alcohol, I've gotten really fast where I can instantly go, okay, I want to do a line of cocaine, but if I do a line of cocaine, I'm going to get an 8-ball and I'm going to be strung out. I'm going to be kicked out and I'm going to lose my wife and I'm going to lose my house. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. But I can do that in a multi-second.
Yeah.
Where other shit like that, I'm working on it, but I'm trying to get faster.
The fact that you can do it's amazing.
It's again, a practice, man. It's a learned like behavior. You know what I mean? Got to kind of train
and
at
some
it.
people don't have, unfortunately, like if you came and did a ride along on the fire truck, most of the day it's people just trying to get a big gulp. And trying to get some meth, and they're out in the street, and it's like, oh, that's always a humbling day. And you're like, dude, if I have a hot shower and my brain's just barely working right, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But like I said, I have my bad days too.
Yeah,
but there's people that just don't. They're not going to make it. They're not doing good, and they were born into some terrible situations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Double down on your luck and be grateful and keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, okay, now we're coming back to that question. I don't think I even answered, dude. I don't know what to tell people that you're asking me how they do it or what, because I get asked that all the time. And I don't know. I wish I had because I don't feel like my life, as much as I think my life's been kind of scripted from the freaking universe or whatever you want to say. It's like, I don't think I have it's not like I sat down and went, like these guys go, okay, these are the 5 things, dude. You write this, and you do this. No, I don't know. It's just kind of you just keep kicking ass and keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of artists that are they're such good, talented people, but then they just have shit attitude, or they're just creepy, or just what, you know what I mean? There's always,
or they're disconnected and they've lost it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like because I don't think I'm the best artist. I think I've got a cool little thing going, but it's just I don't know.
Who are some of the artists that inspire you or inspired you early?
I mean, like Jean-Michel, of course, like the Warhol and Rauschenberg and all those 80s pop artists. And, early on, like Jasper Johns and like all the abstract, crazy, like pop artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the whole rock star of it. Because I always want to be a rock star, but just didn't taught myself how to play guitar, but only so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to do that. So it was like, oh, art. I can kind of be rock star-ish.
Yeah, cool.
And then ditch that dream in a hurry.
Yeah.
That's like the fame thing.
Yeah. It's a curse, huh?
Well, it was such a want in the beginning, man. I so wanted to be famous. And I think that, I mean, again, dude, all this comes from your childhood, right? Back to the happy accident. And then that's why I paint really big. 'Cause I'm the youngest of 3 boys that never got the proper attention. No offense to my parents, but like that was just the way it was. I was an accident. I wasn't supposed to happen. Then it was happening. And then I was supposed to be a girl. And then I wasn't a girl. And then it was like, fuck, we have to name this thing. They didn't name it for 2 days. And then they picked Randy.
This thing.
What the hell? And it's funny just because then it's like I feel like that's why I paint so big and so loud and so crazy, because it's just I was constantly like, I'm the youngest of 3 slack boys, dude, and the slack boys are fucking nuts. So I got to be extra nuts to get attention and to get love.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's kind of where I was born from,
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
What were your brothers like?
I mean, just they're a trip. They're weird.
Yeah.
Like my oldest brother, Rick, he's on his own planet, because he's the most like my parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was the smart one and the old one and the mature one. And then there was Rob, the middle one, that's just completely off the fucking rails. But he's surfer, moved to California the day he turned 18. And he was my idol. And of course I'm like, took me freaking 30 years and 2 kids later, but I made it to Cali. But it's like, we're both really into the same things. And, he took me to my first high school party as a freshman, that kind of shit. Yeah. So it was, it's weird. It's a weird, but we're all homies, but just totally different.
Yeah.
But the same, but different. Kind of weird.
Yeah. That's
kind of a weird, I don't know. I have a weird I can look back at my childhood, and on one page I could be like, oh, we're like the Brady Bunch, everything's perfect. And then the next page I'm like, oh my God, I was in my room crying and freaking out. And you know what I mean? And I don't know if a lot of people relate to that or not, but
that's cool. You even spend time to look at it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just stay busy to avoid like understanding and seeing that, which allows you to sort of find peace or like a little bit more health.
Yeah.
Not saying that they should or shouldn't, but I've noticed that people that spend the time to actually reflect back and see it and like pick it apart and look at their family dynamics and go, oh shit, gives you the ability to have a little compassion for the circumstance. You're like, dude, my parents did their best, or you're lucky. But man, you're also like, dude, I went through a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
And you should be okay with feeling.
Which I'm proud of it. You know what I mean?
And it makes you stronger, more creative. It's like, hey, you're grateful for all of it.
Well, it's good to know where you came from so you can appreciate where you're at. Like to fully overshare, it's like I went to a shrink early on, I think like in high school, and they were like, you need to be on these pills, you need to be on Prozac, whatever the hell, you're bipolar, manic depressant, you need to be on all this heavy shit. Back in the 80s, dude, when they like, I was just oh
sure,
I feel better, it did not work. I'm like, and I remember telling her, because she was bragging to me like, Mozart had this, and this artist had this, and this art, and I'm like, will these pills stifle my creativity? And she's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, fuck your pills. No way. And so anyway, I went on this whole journey of life and then created this whole artistic life, which I think is bonkers. I don't even know how I did it.
Thank God you didn't get on those meds.
Oh, and seriously, right?
Yeah.
And then I went.
That's a good thing to say.
Yeah.
To people right now, because big pharma's shoving meds down every kid's throat.
Yeah, it's very scary. And back then, I think the drugs were even worse. Like what they gave me were not. It was just experiment, and they were just dulling me out. But it's like fast forward whatever years and alcoholism and being addicted to drugs and whatever, and then going to a shrink and telling him my story. And actually I went to a therapist, was going through some shit, and she was like, oh damn, dude. She's like, you need to go to a shrink. She's like, fill out this paperwork or fill out this form, answer these. And I'm like, yep. She's like, yeah, you're this. You need to go see a shrink. Anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it was my shrink was just like, holy shit. Like, how you're still married? You own a building, how did you do that? You've really managed your disease brilliantly.
That's amazing.
And I remember like being oddly complimented. I was like kind of stoked in a weird, like almost like this weird proud moment. Like, wait, did you just call me ill and like a functioning ill person? You know what I mean? And he was blown away.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then he was awesome. But
yeah, and that's the thing now is that there's the big pharma is there's so much incentive behind just driving people into these categories of like you have this DSM model, whatever it is, and then to prescribe it. But they don't change the circumstance, the relationship, or the narrative. It's just like, nope, let's manage the symptom. And a lot of young kids, imagine all the artists that would have been artists, creatives, or scientists or whatever, that are just numb. And then TikTok comes in, and now it's like the mind virus. So I just feel like there's a new epidemic of the war of attention and soma, like Aldous Huxley talks about, where everybody's medicated and numb. And it's like, I hope people can start to hear conversations about, hey, don't take those meds if you don't have to. And maybe just be okay being a little nuts. Because it's because you care and you feel, and you're feeling the spectrum of life. And you're not supposed to. I think it's like I heard Krishnamurti or somebody say it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to an insane society. And start measuring not the individual to a society, because then you're sort of thinking that the individual is the problem. It's like, no, society's a bit insane. And so we shouldn't try to measure up to it. And that's where the real trick is, I think, in this book. It's like, let's start to look at the whole the environment shapes the individual, and you should be feeling a little dis-ease if you have to sit in a freaking chair all day. Yeah, if every kid has ADD now, it's like, well, that's not a disease. That's a kid that's bored with a teacher that doesn't care and stuck in a box with fake lighting. He's supposed to be outside running around.
Or a kid that needs to go wrenching or doing something different than biology. You know what I mean? And that's why I brought up the shrink story, because it was like clear to me at that moment that I feel like everybody has a little bipolar. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has this, that, and the other. And doesn't mean you need to be diagnosed that and treated. You just, and I don't want to say that my way is the right way either, and raw dog it and kind of figure it out and self-medicate. And then, my way was definitely not the right way you want to go. It was the tough way, and I'm lucky to get out, but alive, to be quite frank. But it's like, it was clear to me, this dude telling me this, it was like, I was open and felt all these things and dealt with them in my own way. However I had to deal with them in a healthy way, I think, without pills, without subscriptions, without a little bit of scotch, without a joint, without you know what I mean? Without this, whatever, and the other, to, like you're saying, to numb everybody and to numb these feelings. And you should feel these feelings. As uncomfortable. I think we're in the society now where you don't want to feel uncomfortable because you don't have to, but fuck that. Like I was, again, full circle what we're saying, man. I'm only here because of feeling uncomfortable my whole life.
And all creativity usually is from activation, inspiration, and things like that come from the emotional response. That's why most artists, it's like this beautiful emotional song or something. So I feel like your outlet now, your addiction, is bled into like focusing your attention on your painting and on your cool cars. And your travel. And it's like, what a beautiful way to use your outlet.
And there's an anxiety in it, and there's an uncomfortableness. And it's funny because art, it's like, if you're feeling comfortable and you know exactly what you're doing and you come into the studio every day and everything's kosher, you're not doing it right, man. You need to be a little fucked up and like, is this the right decision? And that's what I love. It's like, I could paint something for 8 hours and go, fuck, that was wrong. But now I know what to do wrong. So now I know what to do right. And then you get to fix it. And then you get that layer. And it's kind of like life, right? Like it's like putting the onion back together. You're layering it back on. It's like the opposite of life, where you're peeling out. You're like putting it back together. I love it. And it's kind of an accidental process where you just have to figure it out. Again, like life. Like, that's what I think they're robbing, not to get on this preachy thing, but I feel like they would have robbed me of, if I would have taken those pills in the 80s, that would have robbed me of learning all these things that have been becoming who I am today.
Yeah.
Years and years and years of just having to figure it out.
You would have been somewhat of a drone and just going
Yeah.
through the motion.
And had a desk job or whatever, or worked at UPS, which is not a bad job. I think it's a
Yeah.
killer. That's the fucking wild thing. That's when I knew I wanted to be an artist. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want an epic job
Yeah.
that everybody thinks a hot, sexy UPS guy. You know what I mean? It's a killer job.
You almost have to take the pharmaceuticals and the numbing and the Adderalls to function in that matrix. Like, if people want to work 40 hours a week and sit in Monday through Friday traffic and it's almost a miracle that people show up and do it without losing their minds every day. But
I agree.
It's an interesting time for sure.
It's a tough one, dude. That's a whole nother podcast right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a good time.
That we're not going to solve. Dude, I love it, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah. I hope people can come to your event. I'll be there this Friday.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This isn't going to air in time probably, but
I might be able
to. But I
throw
mean,
it
hopefully
down.
we have Chaos 25. So I mean, we have to hit 25.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to keep doing it until people stop coming. And every year I say I'm not going to do it. And then the opening happens and I'm so full of love that I'm like, I'm doing this forever.
Yeah. And do you have a pretty chaotic next few days? Then is it just
insanity?
Like, yeah,
dude.
it's incredible.
So I still have to build my stretcher, stretch my piece, finish it.
And you're sitting here fucking around.
Yeah, I'm fucking around doing this. But and then tomorrow's like, so I have to receive and get everybody's information with 70 something artists tomorrow.
Do you sleep okay?
But no.
Never?
Very little. It's like this might date me, but this is like, I call it the Jerry Lewis telethon because that's what happens this week. It's like, I'm just.
But I mean, in life, do you have a
decent, in life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But just this week, you're just like, I have to gun it.
Yeah. I mean, I can do the, 5 hours sleep and function and coffee thing. Yeah, I'm fine.
In life?
Yeah. Because I mean, when I was I would have to take drugs and alcohol to pass out. So I could stop my brain.
Sure. Yeah.
So now I still have a hard time with that, where I go to bed and I'm just But
that's where all your creativity and art comes from too. Maybe.
Yeah. So it's like, it's again a blessing and a curse, man. It's all in how you channel it, right?
That's cool.
But yeah, so it's like, I mean, it'll be a fun week, dude. And then we hang it Thursday, and then Friday's the opening. It'll be awesome, and then Saturday's the after.
It's like a 2 to 6 thing.
Yeah, the aftermarket kind of the forced COVID, like. People that really want to see the art.
Oh, okay.
Friday's kind of a big party.
Okay.
So it's more about people. Most of the artists are here, and it's kind of a blowout. Like,
cool.
I call it the art prom.
Yeah. How cool.
It's fun.
I'll pop in here for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great, dude.
Right on. This has been
cool.
fun, brother.
Yeah, dude,
I appreciate
awesome.
you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, it was fun getting to know you. Thank you for listening to the episode. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes, and rate the show. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
What we call reality is in fact nothing more than a culturally sanctioned and linguistically reinforced hallucination.